People make policy. It's the most basic truth of geopolitics. And people have opinions, sometimes good, sometimes bad. But what happens when bad opinions filter into policy? Now, don't be confused. This winding introduction has a point. A former US diplomat has been arrested in New York. His name is Stuart Seldowitz. He used to work in the US State Department. Pretty high-ranking too. He used to advise former President Barack Obama. So why was he arrested? This video should make it clear.
Do you have
You're an
it?
American citizen?
Yeah, do you have it?
How? How did you become an American citizen?
It's not your business. Go.
Oh, you're right.
I'm born here.
But you're a terrorist. You support terrorism.
Listen, go. I'm not
You
support something.
You do. You support terrorism. You know why? If we killed 4,000 Palestinian kids, you know what? It wasn't enough. It wasn't enough.
Go.
How can a person have so much hate inside them? He says killing 4,000 Palestinian children is not enough. He calls a Muslim vendor a terrorist. And remember who he is, a former diplomat of the United States. We dug into his career. This man held some very important offices, like Director of the National Security Council's South Asia Wing and Deputy Director of the State Department's Israel and Palestine Office. I'll repeat that. This man worked at the Israel and Palestinian Affairs Office, a hardcore Islamophobe. It's like putting a pedophile in charge of the nursery. Reports say he served under 5 different American presidents. Most of his top jobs were under Barack Obama. And I must say, great vetting. This is exactly the kind of people you want making policy, hateful and Islamophobic. Before his arrest, Stuart Seldowitz was confronted by the media, the local media. And guess what he said? I'm going to quote it for you. The comments I made calling him out for his support of terrorism, those I think were appropriate. Forget remorse. He is doubling down on what he said. And don't think this was a one-off instance. It wasn't a case of him having a bad day, because there is another video doing the rounds. Once again, it's Stuart Seldowitz and the vendor. Take a look.
Did you rape your daughter like Muhammad did? Did you rape your daughter like Muhammad?
I speak English.
You only speak English?
No English, no.
You don't speak English?
Yes.
All right. Well, that just shows how ignorant you are. Because Muhammad was a rapist. It says in the Hadith, in your holy book.
Oh, Muhammad.
What?
Oh, Muhammad.
Muhammad, your prophet. You know who he is.
My prophet?
Yeah.
What does Washington have to say about this? I can imagine what Joe Biden will say. This is not the real America. This is an aberration, except it's not. The war in Gaza has exposed America's hateful streak. I have some numbers for you. Since October 7th, Islamophobic incidents have risen 216%. Anti-Semitic incidents have risen by 400%. It's like Americans were waiting for a trigger, an incident to unleash hate. These are not just random users on social media or faceless trolls on the internet. They can also be former top-ranking diplomats, people who make the foreign policy of the United States of America. Just think about the hypocrisy. Stuart Seldowitz worked at the State Department. He spent 5 decades there. The same State Department judges every country in the world. It releases annual reports on human rights, on religious rights, on freedoms and discrimination. But look at their own officers. They can't buy a hot dog without spewing hate. The New York police have now arrested him. He's been charged with hate crimes. The State Department says it opposes racism in all forms, but I'm afraid it doesn't cut it. There will be larger questions asked. Did this man's personal hate affect America's policy? Remember, the US was then involved in 3 Muslim nations, Iraq, Afghanistan, and Libya. Are we to believe that he was 100% impartial? The man who said killing 4,000 Muslim children is not enough? I highly doubt it. It's also a wake-up call to countries around the world. Don't believe America's claims of moral superiority or their so-called reports on human rights. They could be tainted by racism and hate.